Hello chickies, welcome to the Fully Booked Penguin channel. I am Hannah and today we are doing a two-part video. So this video will be all the manga, light novels and manhwa for the month of March. Now usually for my wrap-ups I just do one big video and I do a little talk on each one, but I was sitting here and I was like, you know what, I've done 11 books for the month and I want to yap. People may not watch it, but who cares? I want to yap. Let me yap. So we're gonna have a cozy time with a drink. I think I am putting out the first video yesterday of the books, as in the non-mangas manhwa and light novel of the month. So that will be out from yesterday. So I'll link it in the cards, whichever way the cards are. Today we're going to do these 5. So cozy in, grab yourself a drink, and let's begin our little yap session about fun mangas and manhwas and light novel. So we'll go through the mangas first, and then I'll do the manhwa and finish with the light novel. So our very first manga for the month is The Earl and the Fairy. This is volume 1 and it is by Ayuko for the story and art, but the original concept and story is by Mizuho Tani. So there's the cover for this one. I'll also have it down in the corner. So this was first published as a Japanese manga under the Japanese name, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, and it was in 2008, and then a English translation by VIZ Media in 2012. This is a little bit older of a manga, coming up to 20 years in a couple of years. So in this we are following Lydia. She is one of the only fairy doctors left. Her mother was a fairy doctor, and so she has taken over that role because she can see fairies and most of the humanity cannot. And then we have the male lead, who is Edgar, and he is, well, he's got a twisted background, but he pretends to be a man in search of a sword because it's his family line that he claims he is in line for this Earl's sword, which gains him all this manor and land and power because he would become the Earl. So in this story we have Lydia, and she receives a message from her father summoning her to London, I think, and he is a professor. And so she's like, oh, I'll leave my countryside and head off. However, she has to go on a boat. And along the way, she ends up meeting with these people who take her in. And she finds a man there who's hiding away. And then, even though she was kidnapped, she is then kidnapped from her kidnappers by the male lead. And he wants her to work with him to translate these medallions and different things and lead him to where the sword and the earldom is. Our girl also has this little cat creature. The kitty cat is called Nico. That's where we start. I really enjoyed this volume. I really did. I found it fun. It's got a sort of, not quite Regency, but some sort of time period along those lines. But they have guns and different things like that. And yeah, like heisty kind of things going on. And one party trying to con the other parties as it's a race for this treasure. Our male lead, he's morally dark grey. He's suave, but in a misleading kind of way. Like he's up to something. He's a bit of a manipulator. And so they're sort of on the run, coming across these other blokes who are threatening them. And yeah, it's pretty fun. So Lydia is your typical bright-eyed, kind female lead, but she never crosses into that super clumsy, like annoying female lead zone for me. She's not naive. but she will purposely go into a place where no one else would, you know, fall for it. But she's not falling for it, she's just like, I'll handle it, kind of thing. And meanwhile, of course, Edgar is the classic sort of mysterious, flirty male lead that's up to something, and you're like... But also, it's nice to see that his flirtation just does not hit. So he's trying to be smarmy, and she's just like, I see what you're trying to do, sir, and I'm not falling for it. I'm sure she will eventually, but for the moment, she's not falling for the flirtatiousness. So there's a bit of mystery, there's a bit of intrigue. There's also these side characters, which I found interesting. I do like the male side character more than the female side character, but he's intriguing and got his own little backstory, which you do get a little bit of. So you do know some of Edgar and his cronies, their backstory, but not fully. So you'll still have that mystery to solve and everything. Also, there is a fairy tale aspect, or fairies and fae and those sort of folk tales in this, because she can see the brownies and different things, which I really like. I like that aspect. I do hope that more of that comes in later series or later volumes, or because this is the manga, it doesn't go into the full depth of the light novel, so maybe when I get to the light novel it will have more. But I hope it has more of the folklore fairies, because I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting and it's pretty. So the artwork in this is gorgeous as well, which really helps. So yeah, I think there's 3 other volumes of this one in the manga form that I'll be reading, so I'll be interested to see where we go from here. But yes, she's a little ginger haired girly. Yeah, very bright-eyed and kind, but not falling for everything. She's got a bit of clueiness. Be kind, but also be a little sus, but also go beyond kindness, which ends up working for her. So that is the Earl and the Fairy volume 1 of the manga, and so I gave it a 5 stars. I loved it. I'm interested to see where it goes from here, whether it keeps with its whimsical, mystery, dashing, heisty vibes, or whether it goes a different route. But yeah, that is that one. Our first manga off the list. Alright, next up we have another one by Viz Media, and that is Twisted-Wonderland, the manga, Book of Hearts Labule, Volume 2. And this is by, well, it's hard to tell which way's up because they're upside down. The original concept is by Yana Toboso, the storyboard is by Wakana Hazuki, and the art is by Sumire Kowono. In this we are following Yu, who is a real world person. He plays kendo, and he's about to prepare for this match, and he gets taken up by this carriage in the middle of the evening, and he's like, wakes up in this academy fantasy world. So they're like, oh, welcome to the academy, you're gonna be a new student. And then they realize he's got no magic, which is completely unheard of in the academy's history. And so they're like, oh, well, we'll send you back. But the mirror says, he doesn't belong anywhere. I can't send him back to anywhere. And so that's a bit sus, that's a bit mysterious. At this point, he's interacting with one of the houses of the academy, because I don't know how many there are. So there are 7 dorms, sorry. And so currently we're with the Queen of Hearts dorm, Hearts Labule. So that's where we're up to. And so we're having, I think, 4 volumes in this house. I mean, it's cool. The art is cool. The academy setting is, like, interesting. The thing is, we're currently, obviously, with the Queen of Hearts place. And I think each of the leaders of each of the dorms, they each have this warden or this leader. And I hate the Hearts warden. He's so flippin' annoying. So maybe I'll vibe. But they're all based on villains. So I don't know, they might all end up villainous, and me going like, oh, you come in and beat them, because honestly they deserve some discipline of their own. And this bloke, he's all about discipline. The warden, I'm just going to call him warden, and it's got all the Queen of Hearts rules, like don't offer a mouse a biscuit between the hours of 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. And you're like... And anyway, so he wants to strictly keep everyone to the rules, and everyone in the house is like, oh, I can't be bothered. This is so stupid. But they can't say that aloud because the warden has this power which gives them this neck brace, pretty much, which cuts off their magic. So currently, this lad here, he is getting them in trouble. So he may have been hungry and stolen a tart. And of course, tarts are not to be eaten. So anyway, he's in a bit of trouble. He gets a bit antsy, kind of on his side, kind of not. He goes too far in the end, but still, I'm like, just quit the house. I think they all should just quit the house, but I'm sure there's another solution. But at this point, I'm like, just leave him in a house alone to do all the things by himself, if he so wishes. If he wishes to follow all the rules, he can do so by himself. He can sing the song every 6 p.m. I really liked Yu in the first volume. He's still pretty cool in this one, but he kind of takes a backseat role. And I was like, come on, Yu. Stand up. Have some cool moments. But alas, that is not the case. We also meet a blind dude. Anyway, there's a lot of random stuff happening. And currently we're just learning about the different schools and what the heck's going on with the warden. And meeting a few more characters. So I gave it a 4 stars. Am I super attached to any of these characters? No. But as I say, the art is pretty. And I'm intrigued by the villain Dawn thing. But at the same time, the warden is not the best place to start because I'm just like annoyed with him. He's such an annoying kid. So 4 stars for Twisted-Wonderland Heart Labule 2. There are 2 more books, so I will be getting through them. And I'll let you know how I feel about the whole thing at the end of those 2 volumes. But that brings us to our final manga for this month, or the month of March, and that is Yona of the Dawn Volume 34 by Mizuho Kusanagi. This one got printed. I didn't do this for the Twisted-Wonderland. The original was released in 2020, and then the English print 2022. So we have our little cuties here. And they're all little kids, and they're all little cats. Little kitty cats. So, in this volume of Yona of the Dawn, which in this series we are following Yona, who's a bit older than this, and she is the princess of this kingdom. However, on her birthday, or around her birthday, her father is killed. And she witnesses it, and she witnesses the betrayal of someone close to her, and that person then hunts her to try and kill her as well, because she saw the wrong thing at the wrong time. And so her bodyguard, Huck, and childhood friend, comes in and helps her escape. So they are on the run, but they hear about these dragons, or these clans that one of their clan members end up inheriting these dragon powers. And so they set out to meet these dragons, and Yona is rumoured to be the Fire King descendant, or, reincarnation type thing. This is going to be spoilers for this series because we are in volume 34, so if you don't want spoilers, I suggest you skip. There's no way to avoid spoilers by this point. So in this one, we're getting Suwon's backstory. So of course, Suwon is the usurper / childhood friend that betrayed Yona. Anyway, so we get more of his parents' background and of course Yona's background with little bits, but it's mostly about the parents and that whole mess. We knew it was going to get dark and messy, but wow, I did cry. I was hit in the feels, and you knew it was going to be like a horrible end to that whole saga. And of course it does reveal some backstory for Suwon as well, because something's happening to him and now we know what it is. Obviously I still can't support Suwon because he's betrayed them and I don't think he's going about it the right way. but I also acknowledge that Yona's father was also in the wrong. He wasn't as innocent as he liked to portray, and I think Yona's kind of coming to terms with that as well. However, we get that all wrapped up, so now we can focus on the present, and now I'm nervous as to what the heck is going to happen now. Because I haven't a clue, and I fear. I live in constant fear in the present timeline. And so we have Yona, and she actually steps up at the end of this volume, and I love that. I love seeing Yona take everything in hand and be like, no, let's tough this out, because she is a true ruler. She is impeccable because she's kind, but she also susses things out, so she's smart. And yeah, I'm excited to get the crew back together because we've been apart, and I'm just like, get my boys and my gal back together so we can fight whatever comes next. The series does have fluffy moments and like romantic moments, just little ones, just enough that you are fed with a little bit of a but the real backing of the series is political intrigue and war and mayhem. So unfortunately, we do suffer. We suffer a lot, and there's no avoiding it. So unfortunately, I foresee our future being just as tough. So of course I gave it 5 stars because I love this series, but I was heartbroken, and yeah, it's sad. And my little dragons are up to mischief as well, which I love. But Golden Dragon is acting sus. I'm not sure what he's up to. I have an inkling. And I'm really sad if that's my, author foresight is correct. I guess we'll have to find out. But tears and suffering may be on my horizon. It's out there. And considering the series is finishing, I got the final volume on pre-order. I hope it has a happy ending. It should. But just how happy? I guess that remains to be seen. Anywho. Anyway, so a 5 stars for volume 34 of Yona of the Dawn. So excited and nervous to continue on with the rest of this series. Alright, now for our manhwa of the month, and it is Who Made Me a Princess by Spoon and PLUTUS. So the original story is by PLUTUS. The illustrations are by Spoon. And this is volume 2 of the series. It is by 7 Seas Entertainment. So originally it is a 2019 story. However, the 7 Seas physical release was printed in September 2023. In Who Made Me a Princess, we are following Athanasia, and she is a princess of the Emperor Claude. However, she has been put in this castle and kind of forgotten. She's kind of been like, there you go, forgotten princess with no power. Athanasia is actually possessed by a real world person who transmigrates into the world, and she's like, I know the future, I don't like it. So, before that happens, I'm going to steal tons of stuff and escape from my father. However, she recently bumped into her said father, and he's intrigued by her, but also might still be wanting to kill her. She's still in this place of limbo, but she's trying to act cute and get everyone won over, while at the same time fearing for her very life. As this is volume 2, we are following her as she bumps into this guy, Lucas, who is a sorcerer and has been around for many a year. He's an ancient lad. And so he kind of is intrigued by her because she has a sudden pet. Yeah, he's a bit mysterious, but in a kind of annoying, I know something you don't know kind of way. And he hangs around and just messes up our little girl's plans. I find him so annoying. Anyway, we also meet the original male lead of the story. He seems sweet enough. He's sussing onto Athanasia's presence. And then we also have Jeanette. It is Jeanette. So Jeanette is the original female lead. And we get her backstory into how she was born. And I'm completely lost. Not really lost, But I feel sorry for Claude, and I also not sure how that works kind of situation. Anyway, we haven't fully met Jeanette. We've had her in sort of passing. And so, yeah, we have our little slightly antagonistic sorcerer man who shrinks to be this size, but he's not. So a little creepy there, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. But perhaps it will be revealed that he's not so ancient after all. I don't think there's much hope of that. But anyway, so I think he's going to become Athanasia's, like, magic teacher. And so Athanasia is hanging out with Claude a bit, and he's kind of showing care, but at the same time he also has these moments where he's just looking at her like, perhaps today is the day you die. So it's still dangerous out there. Stay safe. And so we have this story which stuff is happening, we're getting places, but at the same time it feels like absolutely nothing is happening at the same time, because we move at speed meeting characters, but we're also snail pacing the rest of the plot. Where are we headed? Where are we going? I don't know, because her stealing riches has kind of come to a stop. And yeah, I don't know what her plan is currently, other than not to die, which is a solid plan, to be honest. Oh, we also got a glimpse at Athanasia's mother and Claude's and hers. Bit of backstory? Not the full thing, but we got a glimpse. So that would be interesting to see what happens there. Claude is such a sleepy dude. He just goes through life. All the scenes we've seen so far, he's kind of just bored out of his brain and just looks like he wants to sleep. Which leads to my next funny, what I like, is that in his throne room, he has a bed, like a canopy bed, behind his throne. So he can just be like, I'm done with today's court proceedings. Peace. Go and just plop right into bed. And I'm like, well, that I admire. The kind of murderous vibes, not so much. But the nap, organization that he has, impeccable. 10 out of 10. So yeah, I'm still intrigued. And I really don't like Lucas currently. He's just a bit too antagonistic and ancient at this point in time. Yeah, no. Because technically, Athanasia, the girl who's taken over Athanasia, is older than Athanasia. But at the same time, while the souls may be old, their bodies are tiny, and it's weirding me out a little bit. So I gave a 4 stars, or 4.5. I do think I like this one more than Volume 1, but I think I'm still going to give it a 4 stars in the end for Volume 2. As I say, the art is gorgeous, and I do love our little guardsman, Felix. 10 out of 10 for him. I hope he has a very fulfilled, loved life ahead of him. So I will be continuing the series. I'll eventually have all the volumes. Right here I have the last volume, but I'm missing a couple in between. That's not my whole collection, by the way. I've got more than those ones. But that's all that's on my shelf at the current moment. I do have to do a little shelf reorganization. Don't know if I'd even bother to film that, but maybe I will. Maybe I won't. That's future Hannah's problem. Anyway, so 4 stars for Who Made Me a Princess volume 2. Now we get our last book for this video, which is our Korean light novel for the month. And that is Lout of Count's Family by Ryeo-han. And this is for novel number 5, or volume number 5. Just look at that. Gorgeous. This was first published in Korea in 2022, and the English volume is 2025 by 7 Seas Entertainment yet again. In this series, we are following a transmigrator who enters a novel series world, and he has only read 5 volumes of this series, which I think is called The Hero's Journey or something. He possesses Kale Henitus, who is a loutish sub-villain in the series. Is he even a sub-villain? He's like a minor villain who gets bashed up easily by the main character. Now, the Transmigrator's big plan is to acquire riches, set up everything so that this war he knows is coming, he'll be able to live pretty. He'll be able to protect his little slice of heaven and just loutishly slack off and laze around. However, in the process of organising his riches and organising the main characters to be really strong, he does a lot of work. He can't catch a break, really. And so he's collecting the main character. He's collecting sub-villains. He's collecting sub-heroes. He's just collecting so much power and allies. So in his head, he's like, I am doing this for completely selfish reasons. I need all you guys to be super strong so the enemy never gets to where I am and I don't have to put any effort into this, while putting in more effort than anyone else in the series. So people are loving him. They think he's just this selfless, strong being. They think he puts up this front of being a lazy Lout, but he's really not. He's just lovable and selfless and protective. I think one or two characters see through him to know that no, he really thinks he is being lazy, but at the same time they see that his laziness is actually helping out tons of people, and he won't let his allies suffer if he can help it. Anyway, so it's him gathering these forces to defeat the bad guys of this cultish kind of terrorist group. And there's tons of characters. There's so many characters, but I actually found it really easy to keep track of them because they're all different, and you only get little snatches of them, but it's enough that you're like, oh, okay, so that's the elf man, or that's the dark elves of the blah blah. It's pretty easy to follow in that sense. Some other books I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but I seem to follow it fine in this light novel series. Now in this volume, he's encountering an empire, like a neighbouring empire, as well as encountering more of the terrorist group while trying to mess up different things for that terrorist group. However, it is also the very beginning of the war, which I think comes a little bit earlier than Kale planned or thought. And rather than taking a backseat role, he is taking a very central role to all this. But in his head, he's still setting up so that he doesn't have a central role. In doing so, because he doesn't know everything, because it's now to a point where he doesn't know the future, he does start encountering some troubles, some plot twists, some new villains that he didn't know about, and it is, for once, actually hurting the group. So it's a little bit more nervous now that we're moving into that zone. Before now, you just knew that Kale was always going to win. However, at this point, you're not sure. I mean, I'm sure he still will win, but it's not easy. It's not an easy win, and there's bad guys with equally as good powers. So I'm a bit nervous because in this one we have, of course, our little dragon, and our little dragon is trying to step in, but there's also dragon hunters. We can't have our little baby dragon out here against hunters that are out to kill the dragons. But it's still fun. I like Kale as a character. He's very unique. He's a unique character that I haven't seen much of. I hate characters that are full of themselves, but because Kale does it in a way that's humorous, but also he's not actually acting selfishly. He might be a little bit full of himself, but it's not selfishly done. He's actually selfless and helping out a ton of things, even though, you know, as I say, he doesn't think he is, but he is. And all his allies and different things are out and ready to burn the world if anything happens to Kale, which I love. I love where you have super strong characters all teaming together to protect this one being over here. I love that trope. 10 out of 10. So while I do feel sorry for poor Kale because his lazy life is not going to come to fruition anytime soon, I love it. So it's a 5-star again for me. Pretty much the whole series is going to be 5 stars, so it's no surprise to anyone who's been following my Lout of Count family journey. But I love it. 10 out of 10 recommend. I'm trying to get everyone to read it because it's fun. Alright, so that brings us to an end of this manga, manhwa, and light novel collection reading for the month of March. Only other news I have that is related to, I guess, that side of the internet is... I've been watching Plave again. I've been watching Let's Go Plave. So I've been catching up, but I am up to Hamin's 2024 birthday? I'm a bit behind. But Plave are releasing the part 2 of Caligo album very soon, which I'm excited for. And so I've been catching up on the Let's Go episodes, and it's so funny. I cackle to myself all the time. Sometimes I'm sitting on the couch with my headphones in, and my parents just look across because I'm just having a little giggle. So, 10 out of 10. Otherwise, I've been watching Bones, I binge watched it right up to, I think the last episode I watched was their wedding. I wanted to get them married. Spoilers, they get married. And so that's where I'm up to. I kind of took a break after that because that's like 9 seasons or something. So I did a lot of binging the Bones. I think that's all. I've been busy launching my book, Sora's Blade, book 1 in the Umbrella Land series. And I've started on editing and preparing book 2 for publication. So that's what I've been doing. So I haven't really been watching anything else, I don't think. Oh, I want to watch The Other Bennett Sister. Is that what it's called? But it's not out until May. So at least on BritBox, which I'm thinking of watching on BritBox. So that's not out yet, but I am interested to watch that. There is a Pride and Prejudice by Netflix coming out, I don't know, sometime this year, I think. Not so sure about that one. I'll watch it, because who wouldn't watch it? But at the same time, I'm not sure if the Mr. Darcy really fits. I was telling Mum, I'm like, I'm fine with it being a lighter head. Like, I'm fine with him being Irish. I'm even fine, I guess, with the actor. However, in the trailer, he has a very resting face, of course. There's not much emotion going on. And it just makes him look dull. It's not his best look. Okay, his resting face is not his best look. And so it's kind of hard to see him as Mr. Darcy. Personal preference. Maybe he's great in the film. As I say, I'll watch it. Otherwise, I have my eye on a few K-dramas and a few C-dramas. So I'll let you know if I end up watching any of them. But I didn't watch any of them in the month of March. I was a busy being. So maybe this coming month, in April, I'll let you know in the next wrap-up. I decided I'd start adding in my thoughts on what I watched. So that's my update on the entertainment side as well. Thank you if you made it this far. If you did make it this far and you like the video, leave a little fairy emoji in the comments. That's all you need to do. Just whack it down and leave if you want. Or you can leave a longer comment. But there we go. That's our little stack. Had a great fun. Pretty good ratings for our little reads. And until next time, I shall see you again. Peace.
T26